last show of the day, last thing of the day. So the mayor of Chicago, Mayor Brandon Johnson, he has recently come out of how much money he spends on haircuts. He spends a crap ton of money on haircuts in the last year. He spent $30,000 on haircuts. But that's not the problem. The problem here is he's using campaign funds to do it. That's the real problem here. Because as we all know, Trump was charged with 34 felony accounts for using campaign funds for hush money purposes, which is illegal, I guess. Whatever. But somehow this isn't illegal. And then the justifications for this is so stupid. So let's get into it. So this has gone so viral that multiple news organizations have posted about it. Where is it? The Chicago Sun wrote about it. Their headline said that Mayor Brandon Johnson sure looks good while running away from questions. And I don't really understand why they're saying he looks good. He looks more like The Miz from 2006. But whatever. And Lori Leftfoot. I call her Left Foot. No, her name's Lori Lightfoot. So she also had a similar controversy, but it was when she got a haircut during COVID. Because you remember she was like telling everybody that they need to stay home, wear a mask, you couldn't go out for COVID. Because COVID's super dangerous, terrible, bad thing that everyone's going to get, and it's going to kill every single person on the planet. Remember that? So they weren't allowed to get their haircuts, but then she went out to a barbershop and got her haircut because, it's okay if I do it. We are going to convict everybody of crimes except for the ones that I commit. So, questions have arisen over the Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson using campaign funds to pay for hair and makeup expenses, both himself and for others connected to his campaign. So not only is he paying for haircuts for himself, he's paying for others to get haircuts. Remember, very clear. Remember that for later, that he's paying for other people's haircuts, because it's going to be very important for what a lawyer said later on in this article. The Chicago Sun-Times first reported that Johnson's campaign had spent more than $30,000 on such services over a 15-month span. So they're paying about $2,000 a month on haircuts, which is ridiculous, and it's going to get even funnier when we later see what he said, because he actually made a statement about this. So the Illinois election law does not specifically mention hair and makeup expenses as valid campaign expenditures. So depending on whom you ask, there is a disagreement whether this practice is legal. This is what I hate about law. The law is too vague. There's too many loopholes and if, ands, or buts and stuff. The law is just not clear. See, the law should just say you have to spend your money on campaign-related things. If you have a campaign fund, you can only spend on campaign stuff that has to do with your campaign. So that's like traveling to a press conference. It's traveling to a speech. That is a campaign fund expense. Not getting a haircut. You could pay a haircut out of your pocket. So Johnson's campaign is not the first to use funds in this way, but questions arose after funds were also provided to services to others. And then this is a quote. I would be hard-pressed to say grooming is a part of your government function, an election lawyer, Bert Olston, told NBC Chicago. but, or that's not a function of the government to look good. So it should be illegal. Michael Dorf, another election attorney, says that the law doesn't explicitly prohibit the use of campaign funds for grooming expenses, which would likely work in Johnson's favor of an argument. You know what else isn't explicitly stated and explicitly prohibited in campaign funds? Ordering a hitman. There's nothing in the law that says I can't buy a hitman to assassinate my political opponent. There's nothing in that law that says that. So technically, according to what this lawyer is saying, I can order a hitman with my campaign funds to assassinate my political opponent. That is what he just said, ladies and gentlemen. So technically, when you run for office, you are allowed, at least in Illinois, you are allowed to order a hitman to assassinate your political opponent. So keep that in mind. If you're running for Chicago office, you can order a hitman to assassinate your political opponent. Because that's what the lawyer said. Because the law is so vague that there is no law. Instead of running a world and writing laws where they just make sense, we make them vague, where even lawyers argue over what is and what isn't legal. See, this is why laws don't make sense. Because not even the people who mastered the law know what the law even is. Not even they do. How can we have a world where not even the lawyers know what's going on? How are we supposed to follow the laws when the people who mastered the law and study the law for their jobs can't even give you a clear answer? The answer is you can't. Which is why we need to overturn the justice system. We need to fix it completely. Anyway. So this is another quote. It says, I think the key is the law doesn't prohibit the expenditures from grooming expenses, he said. It's absolutely clear that how you look is at least as important as what you say in a political situation. So, this guy, so basically what we've collected here is that this lawyer is probably gay. Because he's like, oh, how you look's important. No one cares about how you look. Nobody. Clearly, Lori Lightfoot was literally your mayor. You really think looks matter when she's the freak? If looks mattered, how did she get hired? How did she get voted for? But the other thing is, so he lists as least as important. So it's at least as important as what you say. So at the least, it's just as important. So what he's saying here, what this lawyer is saying here, is that it is more important that you look good than you have good policies as a political candidate. That is what this lawyer has just said. Ridiculous, I know. That's just completely ridiculous. Now I'm going to play the clip for you guys here. This is what the governor himself, this is what Brandon said himself.
Let me ask you another question. There will be the awkward elephant in the room, and that is about the Sun-Times story last week about your spending of $30,000 from your campaign fund for hair and makeup. Can you respond to that and explain why you think that's an appropriate use of the campaign dollars to many people seems like a lot of money?
I think it's always appropriate to make sure that we're investing in small businesses, especially minority-owned, black-owned, women-owned businesses. Our campaign spends money on food. We support black and brown-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, printing. There are a number of things that my campaign spends dollars on. And I'm so committed to supporting small businesses that even as mayor, just made another announcement of another $35 million available for small businesses. That's important to people, that we lift up, small businesses that, in particular, that don't always get the attention and support that they deserve. And so we're going to continue to do that as a city, and we'll make sure that, I encourage all of you in this room, support small businesses.
So, yeah, the weird thing I find about this case, about what he said there, is that he's like, oh, I did it for black businesses. I did it for the low income, the small businesses. I'm doing this thing for the small businesses. He didn't mention anything about it being legal, which is odd. If there's nothing wrong with it, you would have just outlandishly said, no, there's nothing wrong with it. I don't see the issue with it. But it is completely illegal. And that's why he can't say that's not illegal. You see, what he should have actually said, he said, hey, there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing. There's nothing against what I'm doing. It's not illegal. That's what he should have actually said. That should have been his one and only thing he said, but he didn't. Then he goes on and goes, oh, I did it for the small businesses. I'm doing it to help the small businesses, which sounds really good on paper, right? But is he really helping the small black businesses? He's helping the small female business. Let me ask you something. What small business is charging you $30,000 a year for haircuts? Like, the most I've ever spent on a haircut's $40 at most. That's the most I've ever spent. And I had long hair, and I cut it down short. I had so yeah, I can understand why that haircut was $40. You're spending $3,000? What are you getting, a haircut every day? I don't even think that adds up. I don't even think if you were to get a haircut every single day, you'd get $30,000. You gotta understand, $30,000 in a year is what the average income is. Most people make $30,000 a year working. That's like $15 an hour. No, I don't think it's $15 an hour. I think it's like $18 an hour for a year. So you work 8 hours a week for $18 an hour. You work 40 hours a week, $18 an hour for 52 weeks. That's $30,000. So this dude is literally getting a haircut an hour according to these numbers. Because I said like a haircut's like $20. So this dude's getting like one haircut an hour. That's the only way you could possibly get that much if you're going to small businesses. Now, here's my conspiracy theory on it. Okay, get your tinfoil hats on, guys. He's not going to small businesses. There's no way. He's getting his haircuts at high-end, fancy-dancy haircut salons. The high-class ones, the ones that you pay thousands of dollars for haircuts. That's the only way you can be spending that much. There's no way you're spending that much just getting your hair cut at, like, Joe's cutting crew. Like, there's no way you're spending that much. No, you're going to high-class, high-end places. And if this guy really cared about the low-end black businesses, you would think he would have mentioned the business by name that he went to get his haircut. If he really cared so much about the black businesses, he would have named it. If he cared so much, why didn't he name the business that he went to get his haircut at? Because if he did, people would have found out that it wasn't a low-income small business. And if he lied and said, hey, I get my haircut here at this small business, the small business would have gone, no, you didn't. It would have made him really look bad. There's no good way for him to respond to the situation. So he had to lie his way out. So what are we getting at here? Is he going to get charged like Trump did? With 35 felony accounts, 34 felony accounts for getting haircuts, using campaign funds, using $30,000 of campaign funds, not only for himself, which the one lawyer said that looking good is just as important as what you say. So I can reasonably see the argument that it's okay for him to get a haircut, but he's paying for other people's haircuts too. Other people aren't the mayors. He's the mayor. So why is he paying for other people's haircuts? He's like talking to his cousin, yeah, I'll get you a haircut. Come on, come with me. I got these campaign funds. I'm a Democrat. They won't charge me with a crime. So, will he get charged with a crime like Donald Trump did? No. Nope. He won't. We already know he won't. Like, if you really think he's ever going to get charged with this campaign fraud, that's not smart. You already know he's not going to. Because as we've all learned, if you are a Democrat, you can do whatever you want. Okay? You could be a felon. You could be doing corrupt business deals overseas. You could be a freaking pedophile. Doesn't matter. As long as you're a Democrat, you're fine. You're okay. It's okay. If you're a Democrat, you can do whatever you want, whenever you want. But if you're a Republican, if you do anything illegal, anything you do is illegal. Thank you for watching all the way through the end. If you like this video and you want to see more like it, you can tune into my full show to watch all of my episodes early. And as always, God bless.